no government has your best interests in mind. I normally avoid political topics because of how polarizing they are, and on my page I'm trying to help people live better lives. So polarizing them seems like the exact opposite of what I want to do. And that's why you don't see me talk about politics really at all. And in this video, I felt it was important to talk about the psychology behind why governments are so untrustworthy. And I feel this isn't really too far leaning into politics because I'm not going to be talking about liberals versus conservatives or any of that BS. I'm just going to be talking about the psychology behind politicians and why they end up always becoming untrustworthy and why they don't give a crap about you or me. So let's delve into this because it's a really fascinating subject. So even if you have someone who is a good person, who wants to help their constituents, pretty much as soon as they start running for politics, they're going to discover something pretty early on. And that's that you can't win if you're a good person. It's true. You can't win in the game of politics if you're a good person, because the only way you can get to the top is by engaging in strategies that inevitably start making you become a bad person over time. You have to label the opponents that you're running against as being really bad people and you're better than them, and you never attack their ideas, you attack the person directly. In fact, I follow another YouTuber for financial advice called Meet Kevin, and he actually recently ran for governor of California, and he tried this approach of being a good person, of talking about his policies, and I believe he came in, I want to say I don't remember exactly what place, maybe it was like third place, but basically he did not make the progress that he wanted to by being transparent and honest and having integrity. It turns out he would have had a way better shot of winning if he just started attacking his opponents. And not even their ideas, just attacking them directly. This is how ridiculous politics are. So knowing that, you can't even become a politician without getting your hands dirty, without playing stupid manipulative games, without gaslighting your constituents. That's the only way you can rise to the top. So you can't have good people becoming politicians. It doesn't work that way. If they seem like they're a good person, it's because they're really good at manipulation and lying to you. So now that that's out of the way, you can kind of realize this is the base level you have for politicians. They're all crooked to some degree because to even get into that position of power, they had to play crooked games. But beyond that, once they're in power, they have to now be held accountable by a bunch of corporations and lobbyists, because that's who keeps them in power. Those are the people who donate money to their campaigns that allow them to keep running for re-election. So they're not going to actually listen to you or I. They're going to be listening to the lobbyists and the corporations that give them donations. Because you or I, even if we donate to them, we can only donate, like maybe $20 unless you're rich yourself. So they don't really care about what we have to say because we can't even help them get reelected the same way that their lobbyists and corporations can. So knowing that they're held accountable to those entities and not you or I, that yet again reinforces how politicians aren't going to really care about what we want, their constituents. They won't. They will walk all over us they will walk all over us to the degree that they can still get reelected by us. They're not going to tripping over my words here, they're not going to cross the threshold that would make us despise them so much that we will stop voting for them. They'll do what they can get away with, while they're still doing everything that the lobbyists and corporations want them to do. So that's how politics work. So even if you get a good person, they're not going to be good by the time they're in there. And even if they somehow manage to become elected while still being good, then those lobbyists and those corporations are going to turn them. Because if they want to get reelected, they are going to have to do what those lobbyists and corporations want. Otherwise, where are they going to get the money to do that? Unless they're already a billionaire when going into it. But even then, Most billionaires are going to be crooked people, because how the hell do you make that much money while being a good person? I'm just like talking about psychology here, but I hope you guys can follow me here. It takes a certain person to even get to these positions in the first place. But not only that, once you're in there, you can't really be good and continue. You can't be the person who helps your constituents and gives them everything they want and stay in power. Because at some point, the powerful people who are above you, who are able to fund your campaigns and whatnot, they also have the power to kick you out of there if you don't do what they want. They have that kind of money. They can make the media start writing stories about all your shortcomings and then slowly turn your constituents against you. They have that kind of power. So how the hell can you ever trust the government to have your own best interests in mind? Just knowing that you can't even trust politicians to have your own best interests. Not even your local politicians. And they're like the most reachable form of government that you have. So now you extrapolate that out to the government for your entire country. How could you ever expect that government to have your best interests in mind? There's just no way. There are too many powerful entities hanging over their head that will basically control them to quite a degree, because they are not going to be able to get reelected or even just to stay in power if they're not basically kissing up to those powerful entities overhead. And I'm not talking about the Illuminati or any of that crap. I don't know that I believe in anything like that, especially because if it truly was a secret organization, you wouldn't know of it, right? It would be so, if it was truly secret, we would have no idea of what kind of cabal there is looming over the American government. Who knows? But we do know that there are powerful people with a lot of money who are able to lobby the crap out of our politicians and our presidents, world leaders, and corporations as well, like Apple and Facebook and all those giants that just have so much money and influence, especially when you get to the social media ones, because they can literally censor the opposition. So if you get the backing of Facebook or Twitter or other social media giants like that, they can literally silence and drown out your competition. They have that kind of power. So it's nutty how deep it goes. But my whole point with this video is, please never believe that your governments ever have your best interests in mind. They just do not. And going beyond just how easy it is to corrupt people and politicians once they get into office, here's another tidbit of human psychology that I'll basically end the video with. Once people get into those places of power, even if they didn't have these powerful entities overhead that can fund their campaigns, help them get reelected, or even silence them and make them get kicked out of office, even if none of that existed, when you give people that much power, they almost always become corrupted, even if they're a good person, because of all the things I already mentioned. It's going to affect their psychology. It's very difficult for the average person, especially someone who hasn't really worked on becoming a good person, who hasn't worked on their personality and their integrity and that sort of thing. It's going to be very difficult for them to hold on to their humanity when you give them power over thousands of people. I mean, I don't think there's any real examples of that in history. Well, actually, there are some, like Marcus Aurelius, but you could literally count them on probably one or two hands. Like, there aren't many. It's just literally in the human condition. We are greedy by nature. This is why tribes will often do what's best for the tribe itself, and they're not going to help the other tribes around them usually. They will if it benefits themselves, if it helps them survive, but we're greedy by nature. We only want what's best for ourselves and our tribe, the people we care about. So when you put a greedy human into a position of power, how are they not going to become corrupted by that? Like, it's insane to think about, like, having that kind of authority and influence over others, that kind of power over others. This is one of the reasons why I realize communism will never work. Sorry to all the young people who believe in that BS because they haven't learned enough about human psychology yet. But you can never have a benevolent leader who has control over everything in a country. And communism kind of calls for that power. I mean, the state controls everything in communism, right? So when you give someone that kind of power, you really believe they're going to stay good and have your best interests in mind? You are smoking some good stuff if you believe that, because holy crap, nope, that will never happen. That's just human psychology. Nobody can ever be in that position where they have control over a state and the states or the entire economy of the country and all the people within it and not become corrupted. And that's if they don't have any powerful entities above them. But that's always the case. There will always be powerful entities hanging over world leaders' head. So that makes it even more unlikely for communism to never work the way people intend. Because even if you were somehow able to put a good person into that position, they're going to have powerful people overhead who, in the case of communism, would literally assassinate them if they don't do what they're told. So you just can't have it. You're never going to have a government that truly cares about its people. So sorry for this video being a bit more dark, but I just wanted to be real with you guys. When you truly understand human psychology, and I urge all of you to learn more, as much about it as possible, you'll come to the same conclusion that I have, which is just you'll never have a case where a government truly cares about what's best for its people. It just won't happen. Any politician who says that is lying through their teeth. They're manipulating you because they want your vote. But once they have your vote, they don't care about you anymore. They will do whatever it takes to appease the people above them, even if it means walking all over you and your rights. I hope you guys realize this, especially after the craziness of COVID that we've all been having to deal with the past few years. I mean, governments are using this as an opportunity to gain as much power as possible. So, like I said, it's that human greed, but I'm going to stop the video here because like I said before, there's a reason I normally don't delve into politics. Even if it weren't polarizing, it's just not the most uplifting subject, but oh well. I just want to show you guys human psychology behind powerful positions of leadership, behind politicians, and why it's just a bit naive to ever believe that your government truly has your best interests in mind. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, the easiest way you can support me is just to like, comment, and share. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know if you have counter arguments, if you think I'm wrong on any of this, because I would love to hear it, especially if you study psychology a lot yourself and you have differing opinions. I'm very curious about what you have to say. But anyway, I'm going to end the video here. I'll see you guys in the next video that won't be on anything political. Arrivederci.